Welcome to A Brief History of Conspiracy.
This week's episode, Are We Alone?
Okay, hi guys, how you doing? Today again we're doing the topic of Are We Alone? There are reasons why this is our first topic. For one, I think if any alien civilization exists, it's going to be older than ours, potentially millions of years.
Yeah, quite likely, yeah. I suppose our planet's, 4.5 billion years old, solar system maybe 5, and the universe is 13.8. So conceivably, we could have had, nearly 2 entire lifespans of our solar system up to this point.
Somewhere else.
Prior to us, somewhere else. So yeah, it's plausible that there's, civilizations that are more intelligent, more advanced than we are.
And obviously we're not also talking about just alien life, like little grey men. We're talking about just life in general well.
Be that single-celled, microbial life.
Could there be life elsewhere in the universe? And then we're going to talk about civilizations, really, at the end. Okay. So, on Earth, when we sort of look at life...
Yep.
I think it's fair to say that everywhere we find heat and water, we find life.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Anywhere you find water, you find life.
Yeah, I think it's bacterial a lot of the time, and we're talking single cell
or multicellular. Microbial life. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that I think it's fair to say that anywhere you find, even at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, where there's got these vents, these hydrothermal vents that's teeming with life, and that's like 8 miles deep in the ocean. They never expected to find life down there, but it was literally everywhere. So,
well, in actual fact, they do believe that's possibly where they believe life started. They think that the heat from those hydrothermal vents is possibly what gave rise to the amino acids. And the building blocks of and
what we're talking about is chemistry at the end of the day. It's not going to be potentially special. It's going to be anywhere that you get these the right situation, the right scenario. It's chemistry, and then in this case, chemistry becomes biochemistry. Might be inevitable. It might be.
Yeah, it might be inevitability of those initial chemical reactions occurring, which I think makes sense. I think the vastness of the universe that we now understand it to be, it makes sense that the purpose of that universe is for life to propagate where possible. I don't see it being. It doesn't seem plausible to me to not be the case.
Yeah, I honestly believe that life on a microbial level is not just going to be abundant in the galaxy, the universe. I think is probably in our solar system.
Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, and then you've also got Saturn's moon. Is it Enceladus? That's very similar to Europa as well. There's another possibility, I think, isn't it?
But the first contact with life we have that'll end up in history books.
That's government endorsed.
Yeah. Will be something we scrape off the bottom of the boot.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
There is also the possibility that life is everywhere and actually came to us from outer space. Transpermia. Yeah. Good word. I even thought about I need to Google that earlier, and I thought I can't be asked. But you knew it, so there you go. We've found rocks on the Earth that have come from the Moon or from Mars. A large asteroid impact will throw a bunch of crap up into space, and some of that happens to then land on another planet. If there is life on those objects, we're going to talk about something called an extremophile in a minute.
Yep.
This very hard-wearing creature. If there's something like that on a rock, and then in theory, life could spread that way.
Yeah, they have found, haven't they? They found microbial life on comets.
Yeah, well, I don't think they found microbial life on comets, but they found the building blocks.
Did they not actually find? So it was just the amino acids that they actually found.
It was amino acids, nucleic acids from the Rosetta probe.
Yeah,
they also found oxygen, which is interesting.
Which is generally a byproduct of some kind of biological organism.
Initially, the science believed that the Earth would have been mostly carbon, and then the earlier animals came, and they obviously turned that carbon dioxide into oxygen. Yeah. Now they're wondering whether actually there might have been some oxygen here to begin with, but then the a plant's effect, whatever, would have then obviously created much more.
Yeah, by taking the fact that the whole planet would have been covered by flora and would have been sucking in as carbon dioxide and replacing that with oxygen.
Yeah. But our little planet and our little star is in quite a quiet part of our galaxy, which is important because it means we don't get gravitational shear from other stars.
Supernova explosions are minimised because we're not in the dense spiral arms of the galaxy, and we're in a
quiet neighbourhood, which is nice and stable, nice and relaxed. We can, have barbecues and not have any. Nobody's complaining. So we have a nice quiet neighbourhood. But our star is very unremarkable. It's not too massive. It's not too small. It's stable. It's a normal. It's quite a common star, but it's a good star for complex life to live.
Yes.
We've got things like you said, mentioned the Goldilocks zone, which is the temporal zone, which we're not too hot, we're not too cold, but then, and our moon is very important, but that's going to be our next episode, because we talked just about the moon in the next episode. So we have to wonder how special the Earth is. And like you said, when we actually started looking for planets,
we thought that Earth-sized planets were possibly quite rare because we hadn't really discovered many, because we hadn't really developed the method to discover small planets. We could only really discover the hot Jupiters, the big planet. Yeah. But as the technology, I suppose, got more advanced, and we've looked out into our galaxy a lot over the last few years with the space-based telescopes that we put out there, we found that most stars out there have an Earth-sized
which only
planet
makes sense because we're talking physics. And then the stars will have created the same way.
Yep.
The planetary bodies around those stars will have created the same way.
Same way, yeah.
I think we can expect that in lots of situations we're going to have a very similar makeup to solar systems. Quite small rocky planets inside with bigger gas planets going further out. So I think that what we see as a solar system may be quite common. And I was just saying about as well that life seemed to want to kick off. They know life on this planet is 3.5 billion or so years old. That was really soon after the planet will have cooled. We know the moon is about 4.5 billion years old. So we're talking about 1 billion years from the moon creating to life kicking off, which really isn't long. Considering the Earth wouldn't have been cool then, it would have taken millions of years to cool.
Yes.
And to become habitable for life to even be able to start. And then it's almost like as soon as it had a chance, it did.
It did. Yeah. So it's been going for 3.5 billion years, or
99.9% of that though it was only microbial.
Aren't there? Was it some stromatolites off the coast of Australia, which are a type of archaea that are 3.8 billion years old?
Is that one of those like the plants you see on rocks and things?
They look like rocks, like in the.
It's like a discoloration on a rock, and then it's okay.
Yeah. But they reckon 3.8 they go back to, and they're about one of the oldest things we've found. So again, that's only 0.7 of a.
Yeah, I mean that 3.5 billion years ago, they say that's when they know life was established. It's probably much older than that, but they know it was.
So there probably was stuff going on 4 billion years ago, even just 500,000 years after the Earth, the Moon was formed from the supposed collision with the planetary collision with another body, previous body, Theia.
Again, we're going to talk about that a lot in the next episode. Actually, it comes up. Yeah, that's a big thread through the next episode. Then, but if we talk about these extremophiles that I mentioned earlier, these are little buggers that we can crush them.
Yep.
We can hit them with radiation, acidity. They are insanely robust creatures.
Yep.
There's a scientist, Stein Sigurdsson, who I was reading about recently, and he said literally everywhere we've gone around the planet, we find these things.
Yeah, to the most extreme weather conditions, and we find something able to clasp to some form of life there.
Yeah, I mean, these extremophiles, we should say, they're a class of animal. There's lots of different types. There's single cellular, so it's really multicellular.
Yeah,
which
just
is
anything that can really survive in those extreme conditions.
And he said, like I said, we found them under the Antarctic ice. We found them at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, which is 8 miles deep. We find them in the mantle. We find them on the edge of volcanoes, and also everywhere we look, we find these damn things.
Yeah, which makes me believe that the universe is there for the propagation of life.
Yeah, but also what you're talking about, this you'll have to say the word again.
Transpermia.
Transpermia.
About...
There's no reason to understand that. I mean, there were some spores of these things found that were 40 million years old. In the mantle somewhere,
right? Okay.
And they said that these things were still viable, which basically means they were still alive. They could still come alive, sort of thing.
Come alive, like, given the right temperature, conditions, environment, and reproduce again.
So when we're talking about a large object hitting Mars, saying material being thrown in space, if there's material that had these extremophiles on them, rocks, there's no reason to think they couldn't survive that.
No,
and then they couldn't
definitely.
survive potentially millions of years floating around in space.
Through the vacuum of space, yes.
And we know bacteria and things like this can survive in space because we've seen it in NASA projects and things.
Well, yeah, I mean,
tested it. So
was it aerobic and anaerobic bacteria? Aerobic require oxygen, anaerobic don't. So there is an entire class of bacteria that is designed for it. Yeah, basically.
There is an argument about what is alive when you're talking about viruses, bacteria, things like this, and what are you going to class as alive. But I think if we ignore that whole argument, because that's a whole other episode, that there is stuff on the very small that can survive in these sort of situations, and there's no reason why, even if it happened very, very, very rarely, that it could happen.
Yep.
And the universe is old enough, and these things happen regularly enough, that even if it only happens 1 in a billion times, that means it will happen quite regularly.
Yeah.
On a
universal scale. Yeah, of course. Yeah, obviously you're factoring up there, aren't you? Yeah, of course it will.
So when we're talking then about civilizations, though, more intelligent life,
then that obviously I think the probability dwindles quite significantly because of how long it's taken for us to evolve into an intelligent form of life on this planet, assuming that there has been no outside interference from anyone, and that we have just evolved purely on this planet with the species on this planet. It's taken
it requires
4.5 billion years to get to this point where we're capable of analysing our own existence.
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking about was, if we talk about the Drake equation.
Okay, yeah.
For big animals to evolve on a planet, you need more than just life. Bacteria doesn't really need much. Bacteria can live anywhere. Yeah. We can't. We need stability.
Yeah, a lot of stable environment, a lot of factors that stabilise your environment, yeah.
Again, we'll talk about that a lot more in the next episode when we talk about the moon, because the moon really is very important.
Well, the moon is the stabiliser.
Yeah, it is, exactly. There are several reasons why the moon is so important in what we're talking about. A galaxy that's got at least 140 billion stars.
Yep.
And then quite recently, the estimate for how many galaxies there are was ramped up massively, and they now estimate there may be anything up to 2 trillion galaxies in the known universe, with 140 billion stars in everything. When you start talking about that, those sorts of numbers, you just can't.
They're astronomical.
Exactly.
Most people can't even contemplate those kind of numbers. Their brain can't actually realise.
Well, there's more stars in the universe than there are grain of sands on a beach. That's a way of sort of thinking about, stand on a beach and then just think about how much sand is just under your foot. Never mind on the entire beach. And that's when you start to sort of think about, this is a big number. That's lots of zeros on that number. You want a penny for every star that's in the universe, because you'd be the richest person anyway.
Yeah.
But when they did the maths and they put all these factors in, they came up with a number of around 10,000 stars.
Yeah, 10,000, wasn't it?
Civilizations.
Civilizations in our galaxy, intelligent. Yeah, civilizations in our galaxy
that we could, in theory, talk to. So we're not talking cavemen or thing. They're talking about a technological level that is somewhere in the region of us.
Of us or better. Yeah.
Yeah. But this was before a lot of the studies done into how many actual planets there are.
I
think that might be an underestimate.
I think they were underestimating on a lot of those factors, and in actual fact, I think I haven't looked into it 100% to check exactly what the factors were when Drake came up with them, and what we actually know now in terms of adjusting those numbers. But
the problem is they're still guesses, aren't they?
Well, they are estimations. Yes, that is the problem. But I would imagine that number is only going upwards.
Yeah.
From us getting the scientific results back to now know that those were underestimates that Drake made.
I hope so. Because I've said to you before, I want Star Trek universe. I want to go into space and I want to find Klingons and that's the universe I hope exists.
Yeah, same here. Reality tends to be stranger than science fiction.
I disagree. I actually
No,
think,
you don't like
I
that
actually
one.
think reality tends to be boring, unfortunately. But
Sometimes.
we'll say sometimes fact is stranger than fiction. Yeah. Like I said, I saw that TED talk though that genuinely made me sad. I think I even texted you after watching it, going, "I've just watched the saddest,
when you watched it.
the saddest video of my life." And they basically said, if each of these gateways that you need for life to evolve, and I'm talking civilizations to evolve, not just life, if they said it's 1 in 1,000, so they say 1 in 1,000 that you're in a quiet part of the galaxy that doesn't get bombarded by comets constantly and whatever stuff. So 1,000 to 1. And then said if there's 1,000 to 1 that your planet is in the habitable zone, you're already talking about 1,000 times 1,000, so 1,000,000.
1,000,000 to 1. Yeah.
You then need a planet with a moon that's in the right sort of place. I'm sorry, a planet that's roughly the right size. You're already talking about 1,000,000, 1,000 millions, 1,000,000,000 to 1.
1,000,000,000 to 1.
Then you need, and it just went. He went through about 7 gateways, and he's already up to 1,000,000,000,000 to 1.
Yes.
And he says, and that's our. At the time, that was the universe. They thought there was about 1,000,000,000,000 stars in the universe. And obviously, no, that's nothing like. But,
No, and there's vastly increased that estimation.
Yeah, so they was thinking that we could actually be alone in the universe. We could be the only intelligent life, and mathematically, it's possible we're the only intelligent life.
It's mathematically possible, yes.
Brian Cox even started talking about that, and he's quite open about this sort of subject, but he said he probably thinks there's probably only 1 or 2 per galaxy. And if you think about it like that, and you think about how we are treating our planet and how we treat each other, it's madness.
Oh, it's absolutely madness, yes. I very much agree. If there are only 1 or 2 per galaxy.
Yeah. We're a lot more special. Our ability to actually stop and say and think about the universe in the way we do might be very, very special. And maybe we should think about that next time we throw away a crisp packet.
Yeah. I do think we do need to indeed
we
look after the planet that that provides us the conditions to live.
Anyway, that's my hippie moment. I'm not going into it anymore. I generally only recycle because the wife makes me. So she sees me throw anything in there. That's only 1 can. She yells at me, and rightfully so. So there are some quite big problems with the idea of that if aliens are out there and there are ancient civilizations, the big problem is, where are they? Why aren't we seeing them? And that's called the Fermi paradox.
Yes.
And the idea is that, if there are advanced civilizations older than us,
yep,
even with our technology today, they could have sent probes everywhere.
Yep.
So why haven't they?
Well, the Fermi paradox does completely ignore the entire unidentified flying object topic. And although 95% of that is misidentified phenomenon, atmospheric phenomenon, military aircraft, civilian aircraft, you're just ignoring that 5% that are real metallic objects travelling at credible speeds, surpassing our technology, tracked on radar, a large number of credible witnesses, and yet we still say, well, swamp gas didn't happen. Are we just ignoring what's in plain sight?
But we've been assuming then that we've been looking for radio, and that is that the aliens are then still using the technology we understand. My point would be, maybe they're not.
But certainly from that time of sort of World War II onwards, development of the atomic bomb, there seems to be a dramatic increase in the number of UFO sightings. Out the realms of our comprehension.
It's like cavemen trying to tune into the BBC. It's just not going to happen. They don't know it exists.
The outline was clearly the same shape as the
it was a little fuzzier, but
it
was the cat.
But he only actually hacked in by using the username admin and the password blank. Was how he hacked in.
My password is password. So. As I'm concerned,
communication.
quantum entanglement is witchcraft.